Hi, everybody. Welcome to the After Party Behind the Mic podcast, where a group of amateur voice actors talk about voice actor things. I'm your host, Edmund Manuel, and I am joined today by the outstanding following voices. If you guys want to introduce yourself, starting from the top.
Hi, I'm Alex Cado.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnston.
They call me Desmond.
And today we are going to be talking about a little bit of acting. Yeah, surprise, surprise. It's behind the mic, and we've actually never talked about just straight up acting before.
Wait, you guys act? I thought you just do.
Yeah, right. You go in and you're like, it's all voice, but then you remember, oh shoot, there's an acting in there. But yeah, no. So today we're gonna be talking about that. The nitty gritty, we're gonna really dive into acting and how each of us approaches it, and our biggest takeaways thus far in our very short-lived careers. But I think it's an important topic to talk about, regardless, just to get a key into our own minds and how we do things. So I think we'll start off with what the biggest acting takeaway you've learned so far is. Like the biggest point, the biggest little nugget that you've picked up in acting so far. Alex, if you want to get us started with that.
Okay, the biggest thing I've taken away from my acting career, I've actually done quite a bit of acting over the years. It was a lot in high school, and then college, and then I live in Long Island, so I do a lot of the Long Island theater community, and one thing that I've always gotten from directors or teachers, like the single same note that I've gotten from every single one of them, is that acting is reacting. It's about like figuring out not just how your performance is conveyed as an actor yourself, but how you communicate with other people, because usually, and when it comes to acting, you're with somebody. You're with somebody that has like a different interpretation of the script, of their character, of your character, of the dialogue in general. And sometimes I've done shows where, we do the same dialogue over and over, but just because it's a different day, it just comes off completely differently. Sometimes it depends on whether they're having a good day, or if it's just like it's something in the air that's like bringing everyone up or bringing everyone down. When it comes to acting as reacting, it's just this idea of trying to adapt to how a person is feeling, and then using that to inform your own performance. Because the way I've been taught, the acting comes out differently every single time, and it's just like that idea of being able to adapt to how people respond to you or how you respond to people. It's probably my biggest takeaway.
No, I think that hits on actually a really interesting note in terms of voice acting, because as voice actors, we kind of have to do that reacting ourselves, unless we have unless you're under direction, of course, that is. But when you go in, you do change your delivery. The scene does change based off of the feel of the responses you get back. And as a voice actor, when you're alone in the booth, you kind of have to play with that by yourself when you're screaming into a mic.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when it comes to voice acting, because acting, reacting, that's usually like a dialogue between two people, but obviously it's just you in the booth right there. So it still applies in like a weird way, and it's this idea of that, you're looking at the script, you're looking at, what other people are saying, you're kind of forming your own story in your head about what's going on, and then you have to react to that. Like, if it's a sad story, if it's a happy story, you have to figure that out for yourself, and you have to kind of get this idea of how you would feel sad in that moment. and it really requires a deeper kind of understanding of your own feelings and your own emotions to really
Absolutely
kind of take that and using only your voice being able to convey how you're reacting to that situation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You absolutely need that deeper understanding of yourself so that you can portray your character, so that you can truly react to the script very empathetically and give the delivery the emotion that the scene is asking for.
It's kind of like what Brendan said, like, you know, when you go in for an audition, you're giving them your best guess as to what the character is. And it could be a great guess, and then you get the part, and then the director says, hey, your best guess was really good, but it's actually like totally off from what the character is actually doing in the grander scheme of the whole script. So that's when you work with a director to kind of try to just figure out exactly what they want the character to do and how you are able to use your own skills and feelings to portray that.
Yeah, you're right. And then you have the creators there. You know, they loved your best guess, and now they'll be able to kind of react with you and kind of guide that delivery in the way that in a more personal matter. But getting through the front door with your best guess is super the key there.
Yeah, definitely. It's that it's kind of like that, having that freedom of just being able to do whatever you want, what makes you feel comfortable in the moment, that allows you to like really just go crazy with your character.
All right, so what about you, Chris? Your biggest takeaway so far in your acting career?
The biggest thing I've taken away in this career is it doesn't matter how you look while doing it. Like, wave your arms, stand completely still, look like a very dramatic Shakespearean actor. It doesn't matter. As long as you sound good, you're doing a good job.
Right, not to get caught up in...
Don't be afraid to look ridiculous, because in the end, nobody's going to see that. They're only going to hear you.
Right.
And
yeah,
that's all that matters.
Right, yeah, and in terms of voice acting. And it also provides that blanket of anonymity, because you're absolutely right. Nobody's going to be seeing our face. Nobody knows what we look like right now listening to this podcast. But it's our vocal delivery that really matters here, as opposed to anything else, really. So you can go over the top. You can go flippant.
I can wear a fucking clown outfit. And
exactly.
And nobody would know.
We just gotta do whatever it is that we need to do ourselves to get into that character, to get into that zone, and to react to the best of our ability.
Yeah. And going off what you said, nobody knows what we look like. Some of us don't even know what each other look like.
That's true.
That's true.
I would just like to point out that to whoever's listening to this podcast, we are all extremely attractive.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
Totally.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but self-love, self-life, what? No, that's not how that saying goes. Self-love, so I'm basically the most
attractive.
I'm
an anthropomorphic animal, and you guys can't prove otherwise.
I find that when I'm on the stage and I'm nervous, I just imagine that everyone looks like me, and they're also in their underwear. Yeah, that's exactly what every
vessel
single
of pure
like.
Beauty.
Yeah, you know that dude, that Chad, like, picture, like when, like, Mastodon Adonis of a man that everyone looks at, like when they do those memes where it's like...
Oh, you mean that black and white photo of that dude with a fucking square ass face?
Yeah, where he's got the most chiseled jaw, imagine.
Kind of like...
Yeah. I don't mean to brag, but like if you take a look at the eyes, they're slightly photoshopped because, you know, I am Asian, so, you know, just make them a little squintier, and then but then that's me. That is just in fact me.
Yeah.
And he has only the humblest takes.
Humble brag, you know. I'm basically a Schwarzenegger, you know.
Basically, I am Schwarzenegger.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't know who that man is, but I really love the fact that photo exists, because it is top quality. And he's got like several photos of him like either doing the aesthetic looking down or looking straight ahead. Oh, it's perfect. It's so perfect.
I heard that before the meme, he didn't even know what memes were.
Oh, I can see that. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
I want to know,
Yeah.
does that guy actually exist? Because
He
does.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does.
He
He's,
actually-
he's like a famous model or something.
Yeah, he actually exists.
I just have to imagine though, being
I
that
don't doubt that.
ridiculously fit has to be such a burden though, because you got to keep that up. You know, you can't just like get that body and then sit around all day like that. That's a lot of upkeep. I'm not willing to do that much upkeep.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I can't imagine it's the easiest thing because it's like this whole thing of, you know, there is the point where you just have to like, you know, work out like crazy and also eat nothing and then you look like that, and then there's a point where you just, you know, you have to eat a whole lot,
Yeah.
like upwards of like 10,000 calories just to keep all that up, just so you don't not losing any mass. But it must.
I mean, it's just
fucking
like
crazy.
I mean, I'm really big into, you know, like self-care and working out and stuff. I love working out, but I can never get into that body shape simply because I don't have the time to dedicate that much into my fitness life to the point where I can keep that kind of body type going. Like maybe if I tried really hard for like a month, then maybe I could get to a point where I kind of look a little bit nice, but like I couldn't like be a model. I love food too much.
Same. If it's like between food and like looking like that, it's really, I can't. It's food.
I'm trying to get back into the habit of exercising again. I'm not exactly I'm not big or anything like that. It's just I just need to get into the habit of exercising again because my mental state has kind of lowered that for me, so I need to get into the habit of keeping myself active.
Oh, dude, exercising is beautiful for working out like mental stress. At least for me personally, nothing clears my mind better than a good run.
I need a better open space for jump rope.
Ooh, that's cute. Love a little bit of jump rope. I used to be able to double dutch like nobody's business.
Wow.
Anyways, we've gone super off topic.
We really have.
I don't even recall. Oh, we were talking about anonymity.
Yeah, we were talking about
Yeah.
anonymity.
Yeah, it's because of that is why we derailed and talked about this Arnold Schwarzenegger looking dude.
As it applies to
Yeah.
voice acting, because and how different it can be, because like we've heard, you know, voice acting is just your voice. Like when you're doing stuff on stage, it's mostly you have to communicate with your body just so you can be understood from the cheap seats. If you're like in a camera, it's just like it's in front of you and you have most of your face to work with. But this, obviously, it's voice acting. It's just your voice. So you kind of have to, that's when you have to really like portray all these different kinds of feelings, emotions, and moments through only your voice. And it's amazing how we can like work with that, because it's amazing how we can work with what we have, because it's kind of a necessity for us in that way.
Exactly, it is a necessity, because our performance, you know, from a communication standpoint, is extremely deprived of all the other advantages in other forms of acting. Where, like you said, you know, on theater you have your whole body. In film, the camera can punch in really close and get that facial expression. We just have our voice. You know, we have to communicate all the emotion, all of the character, all the personality through nothing but our voice, and then hope that paints the picture. So being able to go all out in the booth, do whatever you need to do to get into that headspace, move your arms, wear a clown suit. It's
Yeah.
So it's
Or
like
a
because
fursuit.
we only have our voice, we have to like really like turn it up to 11 and really get all of that emotion out.
yeah. It's like you know, people who are blind or deaf have their other senses heightened in order to make up for that kind of deficit in the missing part. Yeah, as with voice acting, you just dial it up to 11 to compensate for the lack of visual or sensory stimulations to your acting. Great point, Chris. Thank you.
For sure.
So for me personally, I think one of my biggest takeaways in acting so far has been that it's extremely contextual, and when you're getting into a character, you gotta think of more than just the big characteristics that they do, that they have, that they've been promoted to be. Like, for example, if you do a character, they will usually provide a short description of them, and it'll say like, oh, he's a menacing, very tough character, got a deep voice. And it's really easy to begin with to latch onto those core characteristics and only portray those characteristics. One of the biggest takeaways is to take that character and flesh them out more than just those major characteristics. I like to look at something that I'm about to voice and think, well, what does this guy do when he wakes up first thing in the morning? Like, what is he like? What does he dislike? What are his pet peeves? Things that are more mundane, but can really flavor the character. Because in real life, people aren't one-dimensional. People aren't just the menacing, deep-voiced guy over there. They have more to their personality, more to their life, that you can really flavor and build out the character with, to add that more believability to your delivery. And the more you can kind of work in the mundaneness to your character, the more you can really explore and delve into just very small details and almost things that you wouldn't think would come up, but you could flavor it into your acting. Something like, he hates blueberries or something. Like if in the script there's like a reference to blueberries and you just decide this guy hates this stuff, that can flavor your acting in a really believable way. And so I think that, that's my biggest takeaway so far, is to remember that characters aren't just one-dimensional flat words on a piece of paper. You can build them out and you can really flesh them into breathing, living people or monsters or witches or whatever it is you're acting with.
Robots.
For sure.
It's like Brendan says, but the 5 W's are really easy for like an audition to flesh out your character.
Absolutely. Who is this guy talking to? Where is this guy talking to them? Why is he talking to them? And it also applies to you. Who is your audience that you're delivering this character to? And why are you delivering this character to this audience? A lot you can pull from the 5 W's into a character to help you build it.
I was in this acting course once, and our teacher at the time gave us this list of questions. Like, whenever you land a role, you take your character and you give them this list of like 40 questions, and a lot of them you got the 5 W's, of course, but you also have a lot of these just like freaking weird questions, and questions that you wouldn't think would come up. Like if you're like, your favorite food is blueberries, like maybe they don't even talk about food at all in whatever you're doing, but it's just there for you to help you figure out how your character would react to this, or what they would think if if there was blueberries on the table, like how they would feel. Like it changes their whole mood.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm getting at there. To really build them out, live their life, so to speak, so that walk 10 miles in their shoes and see what comes out of it. See what kind of building you can get out of it.
Yeah, the questions here are like really weird. So you got like, favorite animal, favorite color, your favorite food, like your character's favorite food. You can randomly say it's blueberries, and again, that has nothing to do with what's going on at all. It'll never come up, but for your character that you have that little extra bit of your character that makes them more real to you, and thus makes them more real in your performance.
Yeah, because that stuff really, it can kind of come in there, like if you imagine somebody's wearing something that your character finds attractive, how would that stylize their interaction with them, And then, like, if midway through the conversation they say something that really pisses your character off, how would that change how he now interacts with them now? You know, there's a lot of fun things you can do playing with the character when you know how they would react to something that's happening in front of them. Tying it back to what Alex was saying earlier, that, you know, when you have a better, deeper understanding of your character, you will be able to react better with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So Desmond, what is the biggest takeaway to acting so far for you?
Well, the thing is, I don't think I can put it in words as good as you guys can. So, I guess the best way for me to explain anything about this would probably to get within philosophical territory, I guess.
Yeah, dude,
So-
you do you. Just kind of roll with it.
See, the way I see it is like you guys said. I mean, when it comes to acting and stuff like that, you're not just playing a character. You are that character. So the thing that I would like to do is, because I'm a Taoist. I practice Taoism and stuff like that. I see the light and dark within everything, and the thing is my practices has taken me into different realms of possibilities and stuff like that, and different ways of looking at life. So the thing about me is that when it comes to acting, I tend to, like you guys said, I also evaluate my characters. I think to myself, who is this character? What is this character like? What does this character don't like? What does this character do? And then I also look into myself, and I think to myself, what do I do? What do I like? And all that kind of stuff. And what I do is I would compare myself to this character. Do we have some commonalities? Is there something that we can basically, can we harmonize? Basically, can we actually do this together? Can we compromise? Can we become one? Can we share the same voice? Can I do the things that this guy does? And if I can, how do I do it? Like if I play as a Scottish Viking, is it possible for me to throw an axe? What if I play as an Irish Viking or Irish whatever? Can I down my ale with both? Yes, I can do both. I can down my ale. I can throw an axe. Or if I'm an Indian, can I take out my bow and arrow and shoot, which I can do. And the thing about that is, how would I do it versus how would this character do it? Can I do it the same way that this character does? And if I can, then awesome. If not, then maybe we can come to a compromise, basically. You get it, right?
Yeah, no, I think that was honestly beautifully put. That is absolutely a really key factor when it comes to acting is not just trying to get into your character's head, but trying to put yourself into that character, you know, finding those connections that you can draw, because the strongest acting, you know, it will draw from you personally to put out into that character. So trying to kind of mind meld, finding things that you will connect to will help you deeply embed yourself into that personality, into that delivery, into that scene. That's a fantastic point. I'd also like to point out,
become the character, basically.
Exactly, you know, that relation, that, you know, develop a relationship with your character, you know. You don't have to.
It can be real difficult.
Oh yeah, totally. It can absolutely be super difficult to do.
It's difficult in the sense, like, you know, sometimes you get a character where sometimes you don't have that stuff. Like, take for example, like Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. You know, I'm sure he can't really relate to the idea of, like, you know, having your weapons blow you up and then making a suit of armor, which can be, you know, I don't think anyone really has that kind of connection. So it can be hard to establish something like that. But I didn't even know Robert Downey Jr. is kind of a mess as he was growing up as an actor. But I think he can identify with that kind of failure, that kind of like idea of letting someone down, letting yourself down, letting the people around you just down, and just taking that and using that to inform your performance. Because even if you don't have all of this stuff, like you're not a super rich playboy philanthropist, you just talk about you can just connect to them through those feelings of failure and use that instead of some physical stuff that you might not have as an actor or a voice actor, and use that to really drive your performance home.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you cannot physically put yourself in their shoes, you haven't been blown up by a rocket, you haven't thrown an axe before, you haven't chugged down a bottle of ale before, you can imagine the emotional journey that they're going through in that moment. The anger and the fury and the raw strength you need to throw that axe, the pits that you have to go to suck down a whole ale, or the kind of pub enthusiastic kind of, you're just hanging out with a mate. You can relate to that energy if you haven't related to the exact action before. It's a great point. If you can physically relate to what's going on, all the more power to you. Hopefully we don't have experiences where you have mass murdered 17 people and you're a big criminal and you also happen to be voicing. Hopefully that's not the kind of the statute of limitations hasn't passed for all these murders I've done. Yeah, but even for the most deprived creatures, horrible villains, you can still relate to them. And that'll add so much to the acting, because if you make a villain relatable, that's some of the deepest, most hard-hitting acting that you can do, is to make the bad guys feel alive and feel like they're more than just their evil motives. When you can bring both sides of a story to life, both characters, heroes and villains, to make them feel like they're real, that is really good storytelling, that's really good acting. And the secret to that is to make people relate, make them feel for that character. But like I was saying, this has been very fun. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
It has.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Super informative, super fun. And I think that is going to be all for today, folks. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.